Tag Show. Tag Show. That's gonna leave a mark, Taylor.
That's undisputed because I'm undisputed.
Hey everybody, what's going on now?
Telling you, your window of being my co-host is getting smaller and smaller. What's up,
Good luck with
everybody? You're listening and watching a brand new episode of the Mixed Tag Show with
Jenna and Blue.
what's up?
What's going on? It's been a couple of, we didn't record last week, but it was a lot going on. It's the holidays too, and it's like, guys, around the holiday times, you already know, like, it's hard to do anything around these times.
Yeah, and then I feel like we just kind of have this thing for the past year or so. It's not needed to record every week. It's just, it's not needed.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, it's forcing a situation to, we had to talk about something, and then there's nothing to talk about, and it's just, we want to give you quality stuff. So
definitely, especially when you just talk about wrestling.
Exactly. So if it means record every other week, so be it. So everything's good. Nothing.
A couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks.
Nothing happened on my end. Christmas. I finally got the Switch for the kids. I was able to find it at a good price.
Nice.
That's hard to do right now with video games. Packing. Got a lot of packing done yesterday. Kind of tired.
Yep.
That's about it. What about you? Bad adulting, like packing, and Christmas shopping,
yeah. Just nothing really in particular. I got my Christmas shopping out of the way. Someone will be very, very happy with their gifts this Christmas, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, just like you said, adulting. One of my friends purchased a house, and I was just like, you know what? It not that I wasn't driven to be successful and make a lot of moves in regards to my life. It encouraged me, or especially everything that we've been doing with our content. Just, you know what? Get finances together, because in the new year, it's time to really just buckle down and get to where we need to. So that's kind of where my mindset is at. Just get all my big purchases out now. Anything like sneakers, and I'm into fragrances. Like I'm a person that gets obsessed with, I notice, collecting something. So if I'm into something, I'm gonna collect it. So I've been buying like mad fragrances and like, I've got my sneakers. But after this, the bank is closed. The purse is closed.
Speaking of which, if you haven't already, follow us on Twitch. Talking about getting
sure,
coins.
Yes. We need coins. Yes.
We need coins. So follow.
Yes.
We hit affiliate, so we getting some of these commercials in now.
We got a little commercials edit going through our show. Crazy.
I mean, it's only like 30 seconds, and so it's 30 seconds. Just sit it out. It's okay.
Speaking of Twitch and put you on, shout out to our past guest this past week, or our guest this past week. That didn't make any sense. Jocelyn Navarro. She was really dope. We had a good time, and just, if you haven't watched it, go ahead and go to our Twitch and watch it, and watch the previous episodes. We need all the support.
And shout out to our next guest this upcoming week, representing Prolific. This Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we will have Isaiah Wolf joining us after he had a match this past weekend with Prolific over at We Are Wrestling at Richfield. And the crazy thing is, I kind of wanted to go to that, but then, adulting happened, and I kind of regret I didn't go.
You know what? Speaking of which, it was a lot of wrestling that went on this weekend. I didn't realize at HOG or House of Glory, Malachi Black was there. He had a match against Buddy Matthews. No, it happened This happened yesterday on Saturday.
Really?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah, going on Instagram, man. I know our Instagram is really popping right now.
Yo, all I see is likes.
Follows, like follow us at the Mixed Tag Show also on Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, there was like mad, it was lit at House of Glory, and it was supposed to be actually Malachi Black versus Amazing Red, but I think he got injured or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
saw that. So that's why I thought they didn't happen yet. I just saw the announcement like Amazing Red is hurt. So I'm like, oh, okay. No,
yeah,
okay.
no. Instead,
I'm late. I'm behind.
Yeah, it was a match against Buddy Matthews, and Buddy Matthews snapped in the ring, so I look like it probably very, very dope. That's why I keep saying we keep having these conversations about going to shows and stuff, and we got to make a mental note when different things are happening, because that would have been something great to go through.
Something you gotta make a calendar or something.
For sure. Yeah, you want to just get into our show? We already spent 7 minutes talking. Yeah, so this past week, right, I finally got my own segment. Speak for yourself. Lou's been getting on me about having my own segment because he did Straight Shoot Sundays where he interviewed people and just chop it up and got to know people. And while I was, I guess, on my little hiatus or just trying to chill and figure out what I wanted to do, we finally came up with this idea. Shout out to Abdul Malik. He does phenomenal work, graphic work for a lot of wrestlers. So I was very humbled by the fact that he did that graphic work for me. And it came out great. And yeah, we did my first segment is a reel. So if you haven't catched it yet, I don't know why you haven't, but it's essentially me talking for 1 minute about random thoughts about wrestling. But I decided
it's very interesting to try to get her to say everything she's trying to say in 1 minute.
Oh, you thought that was clever. You just couldn't wait to get that in there.
I couldn't wait.
Shut up. Anyway. Anywho, the thing that we was discussed in regards to getting a mid-card title for women. And that came about because as we saw this past Monday, Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch had a Raw Women's Championship match, and Becky won, right? And I think by holding the rope, and it feels like this has been the past third
or fourth time she's been doing this.
Yeah, so she's not even winning with her new finisher, is legitimately just holding the rope. Which, listen, I get it, it's a heel move, but
lack of creativity.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a heel move, so you're supposed to not like it, right? It's just how you win by any means necessary. But I feel like this heel roll with Becky is like, I'm on the fence about it. Go ahead.
I feel like, you could be a heel roll. You got to figure out ways to win heelish ways. But there's different ways to win as a heel besides roll up, hold the rope. Roll up, hold the rope. You know what I mean? Like, I think back to when Bayley first became a heel. She was finding different ways to cheat. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's surprised, like, yo, she's really doing this right now. Like, we didn't expect her to do this heel roll so well. And one of her key things were finding different ways to screw you over by cheating. Her laughing as she walks away. I feel like that adds more to it. But if you're doing the same thing over and over again, it puts pressure on your refs because it's like, so you guys don't watch tape. You know what I mean? To check the rope before she pins. I mean, maybe I'm getting too technical, but like
exactly, because it's like this is a company that's been around for years, and obviously refs don't check I can count on my hand where they did a storyline where the ref messed up or didn't see something, and then they reversed the call or whatever the case might be. So it's looking too much into it. And then my thing is, again, and I'm not defending it because it's more so me thinking out loud and discussing with you where I'm like, well, it's a heel move. So again, if she does that and wins, what's your reaction going to be? It's going to be, it's going to be annoyed, and that's essentially she's doing her role, right? So I don't like it, right? But at the end of the day, it's a heel move, and I guess it protects Liv Morgan. I would assume they'll run it back at day one, their pay-per-view for January. I don't know, but it goes back
Can we talk about how? Sorry, sidebar. Can we talk about how the Usos got a pay-per-view named after them with no credit? I thought about like,
Or-
wait, isn't this the
or-
Usos? Or who?
Or it's just they won the first day of the year, but okay.
Nah, but I feel like day one ish was like a thing, and I don't think they would think to put day
Right.
one in as a
Okay,
pay
but
per
it's not
view.
called day one ish. It's called day one.
I still feel like it's an Uso pay per view that they didn't
Okay.
give credit to. But go ahead,
Anywho,
go off.
back to what I was saying in regards to I think it protects Liv, even though I don't think she's winning this title. I think Becky's holding it till Mania. But it goes back to my point on Speak for Yourself. Mid-card titles. Even though I shouldn't have told you what I discussed because I need you to go watch it on our Instagram and run up those views. But yeah.
Yeah, head over to Instagram and check that out. But definitely, a point is, everybody can't fight for the same title. You guys done obsoleted. I don't know if that's a word, but you guys done obsoleted the tag team titles. Where it's like random tag teams just win the title. Shout out to Carmella and Selena, but it's just like, is there really a division right now for those titles? It's not.
Yeah, because then
it's
you
just
think
random
about
people
it.
going for the titles.
I mean, at the end of the day, Vince has never really been a big tag team person.
Recently,
yeah, I want to say in the past few years. But my thing is, like, these tag teams are getting the titles and they hold it for like a very, 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 very long time, and there's literally no competition. But listen, there's no defenses. I mean, honestly, outside of the main titles, like the women's titles and the men titles, like the Universal title and the WWE Championship, no other titles really focused on. So it's just there's a lot.
Raw tag team titles is doing their thing. When you think about it, you got the Bro Tournament that just happened on Raw. That was basically the entire Raw was a Bro Tournament. That got some shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
But other than that, you're right.
Yeah, it's far few in between. But when you look at it, it's and someone had made a comment and said, you want a mid-card title for the women, but they barely doing anything for the division. And someone also mentioned in regards to the men mid-card titles, they're not really doing anything either. So, and I'm like, yeah, I understand that. It's just, hypothetically speaking, like, if you have this division and you have who you want as the title holders, and they're not going to drop it probably until Mania, what are they there fighting for? Especially if you're not giving random feuds. Like, someone like Naomi can benefit from a mid-card title, right? Liv
can benefit from a real feud in general. I don't like the Sony shit.
Well, we'll get to that. But someone like Naomi can hold the mid-card title. Liv can hold a mid-card title. So it's, I know it's too many titles, especially when not a lot has been defended, but I just feel like it gives a reason to fight for it and chase after accolades and accomplishments. But we spend enough time on that.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, sometimes I'll be forgetting that Nakamura is the IC champion and that Damian Priest is the US champion. And
not so much with Damian Priest, because he tends to show
open challenge.
Yeah, he tends to defend and fight more than Shinsuke. But Shinsuke, I all I really recall him for is his partnership with, what's this dude? The one
Raz, something like that.
No, that's not his name. I don't know, but
whatever.
Yeah, that's what I really know Shinsuke for at this particular moment. So, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. What else do we got?
We got the WarGames this past. Okay, don't start that. We had the WarGames this was it 2 weekends ago, past weekend. And I watched the men's and I watched the women's WarGames. Yeah, last week. It was basically the end of an era type situation, where they had new school versus old school for the most part. And me and you had a discussion about the women's WarGames, and I liked, and I said this to you, and I really meant it. Is like, I liked the match. The match was dope. I didn't care too much for the booking because it made, I guess they made up for it when they try to make so was it old school versus new school for the women's? I just realized that it was because they had a new school on the NXT, like, mixed with Xia Li and them. But for that match in general, because it was, what's that, Toxic Attraction and Kaylee Ray in the same team, right?
No,
I haven't watched it.
Dakota Kai was on.
Dakota Guy. Sorry. I haven't
Was
watched
on
NXT
Toxic,
2.0,
yeah.
so I'm like, yeah. Anyway, for me, I felt like it hurt when they made the faces have the upper hand, because to me, when I watch War Games, when the person comes out the cage to help out, it's like a hot tag. So when you flip it, it makes it seem like, you know, the heels have the hot tag. It kind of helped. It kind of played off in the audience as well, because it was more hyped when it was evened out, because it kind of conditioned them to kind of like Toxic Attraction. Maybe that was the point. I don't know. We talked about different reasons why they booked it that way. When they made the girl, what's the chick name?
Cora Jade.
Cora Jade.
That's the one who won.
Yeah, when they made her hurt her arm, and it had Xia, I'm about to say Xia Li. When they had Io Shirai pop her shoulder back in, I kind of see what they were doing. They was creating that handicap for the faces, in a sense, so that the heels can have an upper hand. But I just felt like if you would have booked it the other way, then that probably wouldn't have been needed. But I see how they try to cover it up. I enjoyed the match. I'm not too big on the booking of it, but you know, sometimes things doesn't need to be traditional every time, and it's good to have something different. I just wish they would have went about it a different way, maybe find a different way to do it. I don't know, but yeah, that's the way I looked at it, that match. I know you had your thoughts before we go to the men's.
I just thought it was a good match, right? Like, sometimes I get it, as a wrestling fan, we want things to make sense, but sometimes it's just you want a hard hitting match, and I thought they achieved
So definitely
that.
was a hard hitting match.
You know, they opened up, and again, like you said, you haven't really watched NXT 2.0 as I haven't, right? Just because we do put you on every Tuesday, so it's hard to like focus on that and NXT at the same time. But even outside of that, it's a transition.
Yeah.
So like I said, there's some bright spots where people like Dakota. Well, we'll get into that in regards to the future NXT, but in regards to this match, I thought it was a great match to open up the pay-per-view with, and I didn't have an issue with booking. It was just like I said, sometimes you just need to have a good, hard-hitting match, and that's what I thought it was. So, and it made you know, Dakota Kai look good, because like, again, we'll get into it. She looked good.
Shit, Dakota Kai is like out of here. She's way past this whole NXT situation. Her and Io Shirai, you could tell throughout the entire match that they were out, like they were not like they're not needed there anymore.
Well, we'll discuss that. And
where?
Yeah, exactly. Well, because it says NXT's future.
Well, this is the same lines. You could mix it.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, you know, I just thought it was a good match. And obviously, Toxic Attraction is going to be booked strong because Mandy is the women's champion. Crazy that I'm saying that. And I forget these girls' name from Toxic Attraction. Are the tag team women's champion? Do I amuse? Like,
no, that amuses me. That Mandy Rose is the NXT champion and the face of the company in general. It's in the sense like she's the face of the entire NXT right now, and it's just like
the faction is kind of yeah, but Toxic Attraction is a pretty dope faction. Anyway, but that's enough about the women's match. What did you think about the men's match that main evented?
The men's match was cool. Like you said, it was brutal, hard hitting. I don't see why LA Knight was in that match, but you know, whatever. He's not a NXT original, to keep it 100. He just got here like last year, so.
Well, when I had this conversation with you, I looked up LA Knight, and actually I looked it up prior. He's actually been on NXT before under a different name.
For how long?
I can't remember, but he was with NXT.
And what I'm saying is, like, we know who the heart
not
of
something
NXT
memorable.
are.
Yeah.
Like, if you have to look it up, then it doesn't count. I'm sorry. Like, you didn't make enough impact to carry the flag. You could have went a million different ways with that, and you went with LA Knight, and to me, that makes no sense. But yeah, I mean, the match was hard hitting. Again, with the booking, like, yeah, you had the faces down. Well, NXT, black and gold down, and 2.0, whatever. But it's just like a lot of stuff doesn't make sense, man. Like, why are you locking the cage if all your teammates is not in the cage?
I mean, listen, I again, I think that's reading too. Yes, in regards to locking the cage, I was like, but I feel like at this
It,
point, it's like if you think about it, you saying it doesn't make sense, but I'm thinking like, yo, if I go ahead and lock the cage right now, your first bet is to I'm gonna try to get through the cage this way, as opposed to, oh shoot, let me go climb the cage, right? And then when you
right.
finally realize, oh shoot, let me climb the cage, that gives the other teams enough time to really, beat up on the other team. So I understand what you're saying. It's kind of stupid, especially when the cage is open. But if I look at it on another, like playing devil's advocate, I can see how, like, okay, why we did it, right? It just stalling or buying us more time for you to realize, you know what, let me go the other way.
But my thing is that then it makes it harder for your next guy, as we saw, to get into the cage. So now you're at a disadvantage longer as your guy try to figure out how to break the lock.
Yeah, but see, again, you're nitpicking at it, but at the same time,
It's
like,
not
I'm
nip.
just
To me,
thinking,
it's like,
hold on,
I
I'm just thinking,
understand.
if you and I, let's say we were in battle right now, yeah, you want to be strategic, but you're thinking like, yo, how can we at this particular moment get the upper hand? And I think if that this is not kayfabe, right, and this is real life, I feel like that's the mindset in regards to doing that. I'm like,
Yeah,
yo,
but
let's.
but here's my thing, right? Again, Mia, just looking at it, you can't win the match if everybody's in the ring, right? And then two, like you doing extra damage it doesn't to me. I don't know. Like it doesn't correlate for me. Like me, like, locking the cage really bothered me. I'm like, your man's not even in there yet. Your strongest man's your team captain is not even in there yet. Why are you locking the cage? That was the way I looked at it.
I wasn't the biggest fan of that particular moment, especially not even that. Again, that didn't necessarily bother me with the point of, I get it.
Breaker.
Braun Breaker at this particular point
Braun
seems
the
like to
Baker.
be stop. Seems like he's obviously going to be one of the prominent faces moving forward in regards to this like new school generation thing going on, or this new school era, right? But I just didn't like, and I was saying this, I felt like he was giving me Super Cena vibes, like Super Braun vibes, like again with the chain. It's like, all right, give it to me, and then that was awkward because he took mad long to open it.
Yeah.
And even outside of that, I felt like NXT was whooping, or Team Black and Gold was whooping 2.0's ass. Like
I saw the Carmelo Hayes. The other two, you could tell, not ready to be in that type of match. Like there was so many blunders and missed.
You see, like Pete Dunne was just like, I forget how
man's a beast.
Aggressive and beast mode Pete is, because he was just at times I had like the bending the fingers in the cage and the trash can on top of the fingers, and it was just like he was kicking ass. So then all of a sudden here comes Braun
DIY too,
and then DIY had their moment, and Johnny came out to his old theme, by the way. But anyway, just to have Braun come in there, and then
you say it gives you Cena vibes. It gave me make him look strong vibes. like
isn't that Cena vibes?
No, that's Roman. That's Roman. Make him look strong vibes. Like that's what, like that's what it came off to me. Is like, make sure he break the lock. Like, no, he can't climb the cage. Make sure he goes through the cage. Like, no, like
Roman's never done that. But okay.
Well, I'm saying make him look strong, like that term, make him look strong thing.
I felt like it looked like Super Cena vibes, just in the sense of then he's kicking out of like crazy. Maybe it wasn't finishers, but I don't know. After all of that, he comes in and then he's the one that wins. I was just like, yeah, it just gave me Cena vibes. Gave me Cena vibes.
It's a mixture of both. It's a mixture of both. Let's be honest. It's Vince's mind right now. Vince is like, all right, let's give them everything, guys.
So, and I hate that, because NXT was kind of just like, it's about development, not necessarily puts a rocket on someone's back in NXT and go. It's just about developing.
That's 2.0 for you. But no, if you look at it, look who's the women's championship. Like the women's champion, they just put a rocket on her and she's gone. Like Mandy Rose shouldn't be champion right now. We all could agree to that. This is what 2.0 is right now.
Listen, so we can both agree that we enjoyed both the matches. You had issues with certain bookings and whatever. Going into regards to the future of NXT, again, you and I kept having this back and forth in the sense of what you felt. I feel that at the end of the day, NXT is going back to their WWE's bread and butter, which is developing characters, right? You know, you made it a thing about exactly. And even just back in the day, outside of that, right? It was just building characters, not necessarily get in and not necessarily, that's what we were going the back and forth with was the new program that they had, Next in Line program. I guess we can combine that. At the end of the day, I feel NXT is about developing characters. Doesn't necessarily mean, we're going to go and scoop up indie wrestlers, and which they have. There's still indie wrestlers in NXT 2.0. But I think the main focus right now is developing characters. And that's kind of, they've been their bread and butter.
I feel like, like I said to you, yes, they have indie stars there, but they're stripping them of their identity and stripping them of their style. They want them to do it their way. It's very well known that's what they're doing. In terms of the NIL, I didn't say with the NIL situation is like, it's not even a program for them to be a wrestlers. It's like, and one of the girls hopped on her Instagram and said she's not becoming a wrestler. Like, this is basically an internship and guidance program that they're doing, which is fine.
So then what? Because you and I was having a back and forth about someone's tweet in regards to that felt very strongly about it. So, but what's the problem?
No, because when the thing is, this has been the situation, and this is what I was asking. It's very vague of how they're doing it, so nobody knows exactly what they're doing. Nick Khan has came out and said the whole situation about the indies, so that's why the indie stars sometimes feel away. He said it with his own mouth. The thing with the NIL situation, it made it seem like.
But let's before you continue in regards to that, you said it wasn't a flat out. This is not what we're doing anymore. He said
we're moving away from it. We're moving away from it. What does that mean? That means that.
But again, it goes back to again what I brought a prime example with people like Jade and Carmelo Hayes. They've come from there's a lot of wrestlers in there in NXT 2.0 that has come from. I'm not saying
there's no indies in there now. What I'm saying is moving forward. Yeah, Jade and Carmelo Hayes, they came at the tail end, and they're like, all right, we could do some of these guys. We still could, put them in our image.
But you realize very new. They're very new to NXT.
I understand.
Jade is 19 and Carmelo's 20. Go ahead, continue.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. They were there before they made this change. They're like, all right, we could work with these people. I'm not saying there's no people from the indies in there. There's people that they signed themselves from the indies in there. What I'm saying is, he said, moving forward, they're not doing that anymore. I'm not saying there's nobody there.
You gave me the quote. You gave me the quote, and it wasn't even necessary. He said moving forward. It was essentially that their focus is not going to necessarily be that. That doesn't mean if you see someone in the indies that fits what you're looking for, we're not going to sign them. That's not what you're telling me.
So you're telling me when somebody says we're moving away from that, they're going to go back to it?
But you're making it a literal thing.
That's what he said. We're moving away from that. How literal can it be? Blue, we're moving away.
Hold on. You brought up a quote that literally it wasn't even. He didn't even say that. You literally broke it down and had this conversation. That does not necessarily mean if I see someone out there, I like them. They fit that what we're trying to do. They're not going to sign them. Come on.
Let me see if I can find the quote again, because literally it's moving away from that. Moving forward, we're not like we're going in a different direction.
And you're saying because NXT 2.0 or whatever, all of this was in the works. Again, these people have been signed. For that what they're looking for. So it's just like, I feel like it's nitpicking. It was like every time WWE does something, and I'm not saying WWE doesn't do crazy shit, but I feel like let's find everything to complain about that they do.
It's not complaining though. What I'm saying is with the NIL program, it was confusing, and I even when I was speaking to you and I broke it down to you, I'm like, this is basically an internship. They're gonna teach them about media. They're gonna teach them everything else around the back office business. Maybe if they find something that they like about them, they'll bring it on as a wrestler. I said this to you.
Yes, and I also asked you. With that said, indie wrestler that was pissed about it. I said to you, I don't see why there's a need to be frustrated or annoyed about that. If what you just said is essentially an internship that's going to teach you the back end of doing media and stuff like that, that doesn't necessarily mean that person's going to be signed as a wrestler.
Because when NIL programs, this is what I'm saying, WWE step into something that they usually don't step into. NIL programs don't usually go towards that route. NIL programs usually focus on people that you want inside your company as sports athletes. This is why when you see that, that's why a lot of people got up and they saw it. They're like, oh, so they're becoming wrestlers. Because if you're from like say if a NBA picked up somebody from the NIL program, they're grooming them to be what? Basketball players. Like that's what it basically comes down to. So when wrestling company does that, it's like, so you're picking them up to become wrestlers? Everybody was confused that day. If you realize as the day goes on and more information came out, then people was like, all right, this is still trying to figure out.
So with that said, so again, instead of just like, yo, and that's the mindset, like, yo, WWE, because they do this, that, and the third, and they're doing this, instead of jumping on the bandwagon and be like, all right, and seeing for what it is.
But that's one
again. So that's why I said.
But to me, like, if you're passionate, but my thing is, if you're passionate about something, and you're very outspoken, you're gonna speak out about it. And then
absolutely. But it goes back to what the conversation we had. It doesn't have. I don't think it had anything to do with the athletes. I don't think it had to do with anything. It being like. But again,
it was just like, yo, this is what y'all doing.
But again, one of the things that was said was, if you didn't eat, breathe, sleep wrestling, then you shouldn't be in this program. Then say, yo, yeah, it's nothing against the wrestlers, cool, but you're saying that not everyone, and I kept bringing it to you in regards to people such as Bianca Belair. She does not deserve to be where she's at because she didn't eat, breathe, sleep wrestling when she was younger? No.
And
it's like she's like, of course she does.
What I'm saying is, like you always do, play devil's advocate. I understand that, they like athletes come from collegiate levels, whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of people in the indies that do feel that way, and they have a right to, because they feel like those people are jumping the line in any sports for that matter. If you go into like it just happens, it's natural. Like if you're working, you're busting it. Like if you're working, you're busting your ass on something, and you feel like somebody's jumping the line, you're gonna show frustration. That's what it is. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but
but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Especially when you're trying to get, but you see, that's the point, that you're gonna feel frustrated. But this is the conversation you and I had this whole week in regards to, there's a way of going about it, right? Because you putting out your frustrations, and then just to realize, and this is not a knock on him, this is just people in general, that to realize, oh, okay, well, maybe that's not what the program's supposed to be anyway. Let me dial it back. Well, you didn't have to dial it back, instead of letting it play its course. That's all I'm saying. No one's saying you don't have to be frustrated. You don't have to be passionate. You don't have to voice your opinions. No one's saying that. All I'm saying is, if you're saying this program is for X, Y, and Z, and hey, if there's someone that they see that like, yo, I like your look, who's to say that just because they didn't grow up in this business, that they can't learn to love the business, such as someone like Bianca Belair? That's all I'm saying. And if you're meant to be in WWE, it's gonna find you some way. But the beauty of it now is, you don't have to worry about getting into WWE, especially since we know how WWE operates, right? That's all I'm saying. Saying.
I get that, but my point was, like, you can't get, everybody's not the same, and everybody handles everything different. The same thing we'll discuss later with the host Jade situation. Everybody handles, especially in the social media world. That's a lot of times where people use this to vent. People use to let out their frustrations, let it build in. So if somebody is venting at that moment and saying what they feel, we can't say they're wrong. Like I told you in the text, like, he's not right and he's not wrong at the same time. If you want to express that emotion, express the emotion.
Like I said, and like I told you,
everybody's not the same. Not everybody can handle it the same way.
Like I told you, though, right? You can express everything. No one's saying he's right or wrong. I'm not saying you can't express yourself. And like I just said again, there's a way of going about it. That's all I said. And as someone who's 31 and has realized in life there's pick your battle.
25.
There's how old am I?
25.
Right. Someone who's 25 years old plus six years and have realized sometimes you don't have to go off or go about certain things. That's all I'm saying, especially since it's harder for us when we look like this. It's harder to get our foot in the door. That's all I'm saying. And we'll discuss that with someone else.
You're wiser beyond your years, and a lot of times some people are tired from staying quiet. You never know.
And again, I get that. I understand that. Sometimes
remember, we're the group that they tell us to shut up and dribble. Shut up and wrestle.
Understand
you know what I'm saying?
I get
sometimes they be
and you can still voice your opinion. No one's saying you still can't voice your opinion, but it goes back to what I said, and I think we should move on because we got
a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about. We may have to do 2 episodes.
On this one?
Yeah, kind of like part 1, part 2, because the way this is going. Anyway,
no, I'm talking about this conversation. We can carry somewhere else. But in terms of
it's just like I said, it's a way of going about things. But
NXT in general,
we'll talk again. We'll revisit.
We have to say goodbye
to Johnny Wrestling.
Johnny Wrestling, and the air guitarist of all time, Mr. Kyle O'Reilly. Like how do you feel? What's your thoughts on this farewell?
I mean, I text you and said it's the end of an era. No pun intended, but it's legitimately an end of an era. Listen, Johnny's been wrestling with NXT for since 2015. Johnny's been wrestling with NXT since since 2015. I want to right?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, and then Kyle obviously with Undisputed, and then going his own route, as a single star, and then whatever. It's been a long journey, and it's so much you can do with NXT at this particular point, right? Obviously, like the conversation we just had, they're moving in a new direction, and it may not necessarily be the direction that they're trying to go, or in both of them, right? So, right. And listen, Johnny's about to be a father soon, so I'm pretty sure he's going to take that time away just to enjoy family life, and it had to come to an end. I'm not sad. The moment was bittersweet or whatever, but I'm not sad. It was like sometimes you just have to move on, and it's in this situation they're moving on good terms. So if it was ever a situation like, yo, I want to come back, the door is open. It ended off on a good note. So I like that. Like it didn't have to end off crazy or any sides beefing. So.
Well, yeah, like this it's been a pattern, We've seen this with Adam Cole. Now we've seen it with Johnny Gargano and Kyle O'Reilly. Yeah, they didn't leave on bad terms, but I'm pretty sure it's not a good feeling when you're being turned down as well. They made some good offers to them. They didn't, they still want to, what are you making that face for? What? I'm just saying.
I just feel like maybe it's just someone leaves on their own part and they want. Go ahead.
That's fine. What I'm saying is they got offered. I'm not saying like there's beef between them because clearly it wasn't. They let them go off on, like you said, Kyle O'Reilly got a chance to put over one of their future stars in a cage match. Johnny got to say what he needed to say, got off his chest. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying that I'm just giving the info that they were offered extensions and they denied it. They wanted to, go check out other options.
But what do you when you say it's a pattern? In what sense is a pattern?
Because it's a pattern in the sense of those people that didn't want to go to the main roster is leaving NXT rather than going to the main roster. That's the pattern. You can't avoid that. That's one of the reasons why Vince took over NXT is because people wasn't leaving NXT to come to the main roster like he wanted. Like that was essentially what the program was supposed to be. NXT main roster. That was like the hand in hand. And it wasn't happening, and that's why they changed it up. Like that's known knowledge, and that's why I say it's a pattern because when you look at the people that didn't want to leave, the only person that's left now is Tommaso Ciampa. So now it's kind of like what's going to happen here with him because he's been very adamant about not wanting to go into the main roster, just like these other people that just left. So what's going to happen?
But let's remember why he didn't want to go to the main roster. It wasn't because of how booking, etc. is. It's because he has a back neck, and the traveling, doing live shows and this, that, and the third, he didn't want to do. That's why I'm saying I feel like you put so much. Maybe that's just like not the case, like about going to the main roster, this, that, and the third, because of they don't like the direction. Maybe it's just it's okay to want to go and try other things. The reason why you brought up Tommaso is the reason why he didn't want to do the main roster thing was because of his neck. There was nothing else said in regards to booking and X, Y, and Z. He said because of his neck. So like I feel like every time we have these conversations and it's like and you say it's not, but it's every time it's like you try to find a way that every person in WWE currently signed hates being there.
No,
and that may not
fact.
necessarily be the case.
We've had conversations where I said certain wrestlers are fine there. If I get info that they're not going there for more of another reason, I usually let you know that they're going there for more than not another reason. It's not no, dirt sheet situation or anything like that. That's why sometimes I word things a certain way. Like certain people, yes, they are happy with WWE. I've told you that. And there's people that's not happy with WWE, and I've told you that. Like, for instance,
and I've told you that apparently there's people that's not necessarily happy with AEW. But what was your rebuttal? Well, that's not what I've heard. And I'm telling you, not everywhere is all rainbows and sunshine.
And if I hear something different, I'm gonna tell you. If you hear something different, please tell me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you're saying it like as an assumption where something that I've heard. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're bringing this up for what? It's like I'm just I'm bringing it down for real. Like, they don't want to go to the main roster. I'm not saying Tommaso Ciampa, whatever I heard for why he didn't want to go. I'm not comparing to what he said. I'm just saying that he doesn't want to go to the main roster. That's just all I said. It was a pattern that they don't want to go to the main roster. I didn't add what I've heard or anything like that. I just said he doesn't want to go.
Okay.
Like you're bringing up what I told you on the side, but I'm just letting you know like he doesn't want to go. Either way, whether it's what he said or what I heard, he doesn't want to go. That's the pattern. So they're leaving NXT, is what I'm saying. So with these two,
you say that's what you're just saying. I feel that there's a different motive in regards when you say stuff like that, because again, it's an anti-WWE agenda. That's how it comes off.
There's no anti-WWE anything. What I tell you on the side and what I say on the show are two different things. If I'm saying they didn't want to go to the main roster, I didn't say he didn't want to go to the roster because how booking is. I didn't say none of that. I just said he doesn't want to go to the main roster. That's what I said. I didn't add nothing to it. So that's what I'm saying. This is the pattern. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, the people that didn't want to go to the main roster for whatever reason that they didn't want to go, they're not going and they're leaving NXT. That's the pattern. So that's why I say it's interesting what's happening with Tommaso Ciampa. As we've seen, Johnny Gargano done started his Twitch. He done released his merch on Pro Wrestling Tease this week. Kyle O'Reilly's been a little bit more quiet. They said that WWE is treating it more so like they're taking a time off and then seeing where they want to go because they want to evaluate all their options. That's what they're saying.
And and then I saw a tweet that said someone, "Oh yeah, Johnny started his Twitch and pro wrestling that he's gone." And I'm like, he might be gone, but I didn't necessarily take it as that. I took it as this is a man that's done with his contract has been fulfilled. How is he gonna make ends meet, right? Especially while his wife is currently pregnant, right? So what are you gonna do?
She's still getting paid. And honestly, well,
correct.
But to play in your words, to play devil's advocate, if you're really considering signing with WWE, you wouldn't start a whole store and Twitch that you're gonna have to shut down in a month because you're not gonna or 2 weeks or whatever the case may be.
Why not? Why wouldn't I try to make money, especially when I know I have a pregnant wife? Why wouldn't I try to make some extra money? If
I get the merch, but I don't think starting a Twitch is something that someone that's gonna go to the main roster is gonna do. That's just my opinion.
I'm not even saying he would go to the main roster. Maybe he came back to NXT. All I'm saying is like I don't think those moves means he's done for sure. I just find it as in the meantime, I'm not doing anything. I'm gonna play Family Guy and play husband and dad. And in the meantime, let me just heal up and enjoy the things that I like, which is do gaming and Twitch and the whole nine, and release some merch. I'm not saying he's gonna come back. That's all I'm saying is I think sometimes people read too many things and it's like, oh yeah, maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's just the man trying to make extra cash in the meantime before he decides on what he actually wants to do. That's all.
Well, I think it's signs that he's gone. Like, I don't think it's that you start those things if you're planning to go somewhere that they're gonna tell you to shut it back down. That's just me. But we can move on to the next topic because we got like master to talk about, and we're like about to hit an hour.
That's what I'm saying. We may have to do a part 1, part 2, or something.
Nah, let's just let it ride. We haven't had a long episode in a while. I'm pretty sure we'll be fine. Jeff Hardy was released this past week at a abrupt, like, to me, I feel abrupt release. I know you have more info on that.
Yeah. So according to Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful, WWE released Jeff Hardy, and apparently he was offered rehab and it was declined. And there was, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, where I guess at a live show he got pulled because of something, right? His brother Matt Hardy said that he was fine. People chalked it up to maybe it was stomach issues, but now it seems like it may not have necessarily been stomach issues or whatever. So yeah, that's as much info that we have.
Yeah, it looked like it was a stomach issue when you look at the video because he was just like holding his stomach while he's walking down.
Yeah, I don't know, but then if you hear in regards to them offering him rehab, then you have to believe like, well, then maybe there's more to it than just stomach issues. But
could it be a situation where they just assumed it was more than a stomach ache? Like, you know what? Maybe you need to go back to rehab. He's like, nah, I'm good. I'm telling you, it was just a stomach ache. Like, I'm fine.
Maybe.
Like,
maybe that could have been the case.
And they're like, nah, you bugging. Like, if you're not going to rehab, then we got to let you go. He's like, I don't need rehab. I'm fine. But like I also mentioned is that this past year has been very rough on Jeff. Like, this is, I'm not sure how his relationship we know how his relationship with his Matt, but we don't know if his time away from Matt may play a part of him being on the road, no longer with his brother, who probably, was an anchor for him. We don't know if it's like the situation with his dad passing away this past year as well. They may have added to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we don't know. There's so many things that could be happening with him that you just got to send your prayers and thoughts to him.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much thoughts on it because like you said, it could be numerous of things of what he's going through. Maybe he's not going through anything. Maybe it was just like assuming, and nothing was wrong. Like, I don't know, but if there is, Jeff Hardy is a legend in wrestling. We all grew up watching him as one person that's gonna always be beloved by the wrestling community, right? Like, I've never heard anyone say bad things about Jeff Hardy in regards to, not liking him as a talent or as a person. So whatever the situation, like you said, we wish him the best, and hopefully whatever, demons he's battling, if he's battling anything, he's fine. And the next step in his or chapter in his journey, it's a prosperous one. Yeah, and fulfilling. But going into we had this conversation about Naomi.
Shout out to Naomi, yo. She was on the move this week. She was on the Jalen Rose podcast. She's gonna be on Wendy Williams. She been like, I think that's one of her dreams, to be on the Wendy Williams show. So shout out to her, yo. She out here.
Yeah, so it's about time, because we saw in the past year or two, right? That she's had 2 different moments where she's just gone completely viral, and nothing, small doses, they try to do something, and then it was just like, all right, we gave you what you wanted. Now it's that's it. And finally it seems like Naomi's in a decent storyline feud that we can kind of sink our teeth into. You feel otherwise, though?
Yeah, I just feel like Naomi and the Sonya situation, like, they're dragging this a little bit much. I feel like Sasha should have, still been there with her a bit to, keep her away from Charlotte as long as possible if she's gonna win the Royal Rumble. I understand that, she beat Shayna, and Shayna and Natty's like, Sonya's henchmen at this point, but Naomi's team bad, You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to have her back, like you did the week before. I just felt like the shift was so crazy and so fast. Like it was just like 1 week. Like everybody was soup. If you looked at social media, everybody was like, "Oh shit, they back together again." You know, it's good to have these two together. You know, I think Sasha made a statement or a quote like, "I got your back." And the next week she didn't have her back. It was just like, yo, like I could have did a lot with this. Yeah, there's more legs on this. Why you still prepare her?
Yeah, but again, this is a conversation that you and I had yesterday or whatever. I don't think that was meant to be prolonged. I think Sasha and Naomi had a common interest, whereas she got screwed by Shayna, Natty, and who else was on the Survivors? Oh, Shotzi, right? They had a common interest in that sense because obviously Sonya and Natty have been essentially Sonya's Shayna and Natty have been Sonya's henchwoman, right? So there's a common interest between Sasha and Naomi to come back together for like kind of like a one night only type thing where I got your back. That's how I see it as, right? Because at the end of the day, it seems what they're doing is Sasha's is en route is to Charlotte. So what are you doing? Sasha had her feud with Shotzi. She beat Shotzi. She had her feud with Shayna. Her match with Shayna. She beat Shayna, right? She's righting her wrongs in the sense of people that messed her up at Survivor Series. Whereas Naomi's battle is still strictly with Sonya, right? It's not necessarily a tag team thing. It's her battle is with Sonya, and everything that Sonya is pulling the obstacles to get at Naomi, she's overcoming. That's why I feel that Sasha wasn't there in her corner. Sasha's trying to get to Charlotte. So what do? I coach the younger people. Like I tried to coach Shotzi. Shotzi didn't like the advice I gave her. So I had to shut her up. Tony, she gave advice to Tony. So her focus right now is getting to Charlotte or getting to the title. Whereas with Naomi, again,
she has her own battles. I get it.
Yeah, her own battles. And then again, now we can bring up in regards to Xia Li. Xia Li finally debuted on Friday, and it made sense because they've been building her up in regards to the vignettes that they've.
I got it.
You gotta throw it up in there.
There we go.
Pat, it is the Protector. Xia Li making her Smackdown debut here tonight. What?
That is absolutely fire.
Is that the most intimidating thing I've ever seen in my life?
All right, that's fire. But let's just hope that,
Well, again, so going back to what I was saying with the vignettes that they kept throwing, I don't know if you've really seen them, but she mentioned how she had to protect her family or whatever. And they just kept building that up, that she's a protector, she's a defender. So when she came out, and Naomi was cornered by those three with Sonya, Natty, and Shayna. She was out to kind of somewhat even the score. So it made sense. I thought it was pretty cool. The only thing I didn't like was that do not make this into a tag team, right? With Naomi and Xia, right? Because it just seems like, again, Naomi has her own thing going. And I feel like Xia's debut outshine what Naomi's currently doing. So I don't want it to be a thing where the one that they try to have a tag team match or numerous tag team matches, and then two that they kind of just drop the storyline between Sonya and Naomi, because this is something that they can do at day one, honestly, even if it's on the pre-show, right? You can finally have that match.
I don't get why they're holding off on letting Sonya do her thing. Like she could wrestle. She didn't leave off of an injury, not to our knowledge, so I'm not understanding why this has been dragged so long, in a sense. Like you said, this has been going on since like September, I feel like. We're like in December. So since the draft has been like, all right, I'm drafted, what do you have for me? And it's just like, oh, nothing. And it's like, Naomi, we always say Naomi deserves so much better than this. I'm just waiting for the bloodline to bring her in or something. Like, there's so many opportunities you could do with her, and it's just like, you guys are just like wasting her away, in my opinion.
Yeah, listen. Hopefully, something's got to give, and there's a conclusion to all of this. But I was very pleasantly.
Did Xia get a fight? Did she get the fight at all?
She helped Naomi, like, you know,
Okay.
it wasn't a match or anything, but she just helped her, you know. But
Okay.
I was pleasantly surprised with her presentation, and yeah, hopefully we get something out of that, because that was super super dope.
That's probably the dopest graphics they got right now. That was fire.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, and
I seen it on
sucks
Twitter. I was
because,
like, "What's this?"
right,
What?
and then the thing is, like, when you're in the live show, you know, and you're actually at the show, you don't get to see that. So,
Right,
you
right.
know, people can't really see how we were all bugging out on Twitter.
Right.
So, yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna do a thing where they start giving out like AR glasses, so you can see those graphics when they come into the ring.
That's actually a very good idea. They should, because like there's too many dope graphics that they're kind of doing, and like you can't really see, you don't see
You
it.
can't really see it.
But anyway,
I mean, they can. I feel like we saw it. I think they see it on the screen because we was at WrestleMania. We saw the graphics on the screen. No.
Anyway, nope. We can move on.
What? Well, WrestleMania, I seen the graphics on the screen, like when they was doing those kind of things for like
Nope.
Becky and them. They had it on the screen.
Nope.
Like above the ring. Then you watch. All right. I know I'm not tripping.
Because I was at WrestleMania this past year and I didn't see.
No, I'm thinking about when I went to WrestleMania and when it was in Jersey.
All right, next subject.
Wow. Okay. The direction for Brock Lesnar. I mean,
I know it's
they
not
won.
much to discuss. But you were.
I feel like they're gonna drag. I feel like they're gonna drag this to
you said you
WrestleMania.
What was it that you didn't like?
Oh, yeah, that situation. Apparently, I've been watching TV because I feel like if I could just watch the pay-per-views and not miss anything. And I tuned into SmackDown. Like, you know what? I got some time left before Rampage started. I was done with what I was doing. Let me see what's going on SmackDown. Come back from commercial break, and it's Roman coming to the ring for like 7 minutes. Just walking to the ring. And he's against Sammy. I'm like, oh, okay. Sammy's getting a Universal title champ? All right, let's see what's happening. And it was a spear and then a tap out. And it was just like, why do they do this to Sammy? Like, the match was like literally like maybe 30 to 45 seconds.
But you know why that
the intro. Yeah, I realized later on that Brock Lesnar beat him down and everything like that. Yeah. But it's just like, poor Sammy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to spend too much time on it. I don't know if I disclaimer, I've never really been the biggest Brock Lesnar fan, so that's why I'm just like, I'm trying to think. So I'm just trying to figure. Yeah, we can say the same thing with you and Roman, buddy. Anyway,
I know, but at least I've given Roman his flowers.
You have to pull. We have to pull your.
Not this run. This run I actually gave out. Like when this run started, I was like, all right, this is working for him. I think it's running a little bit too long now because you don't have no viable competitors to take the title off of him. But when it first started with the Usos, I'm like, yo, this is dope. I said it myself. You didn't have to pull no teeth.
Okay, we can go back to the footage. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. In regards to Brock, it's not even so much, it's not necessarily him. It's just, what's the direction? Like, and you said you feel that it's going to probably run its course to WrestleMania, but it's just like, okay, if that's the case, is he going to take the title off of him? Because if he takes the title, right? So it's just like,
that's what I'm saying. They booked themselves in a corner with Roman. Like the thing started off fire, and even when it started off, and I said this is fire, I like this has to end with Jey Uso beating Roman. Like at this point, and at this point now, it doesn't even look like we're anywhere near that. Like Jay and Jimmy are just like, all right, we're henchmen. Like we got his back no matter what. Yeah. And so now you have, so essentially everybody been talking about who's gonna beat Roman. There's been talks about Seth Rollins, but I don't see Seth going to SmackDown. Like,
but Seth would have, in order for Seth to go to SmackDown,
he would have to win the Royal Rumble,
and he
then challenge.
Has recently won it. So I don't know, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. Going back to kind of the conversation we were having in regards to the NIL program and just voicing your frustrations and what have you. Jade Cargill, that is, this past week or so had a thing where she was kind of fed up, where rightfully so, that wrestling fans seem to attack Black women wrestlers in particular, which she's very spot on
Yeah.
about. And then eventually,
Jocelyn Navarro brought that up during Put You On With You as well.
yes, and then Jade eventually wound up deleting her Twitter.
She's back.
So she wound up deleting her Twitter though.
Yeah.
So again, you and I had difference of opinions, not necessarily in regards to voicing your frustrations. Again, I feel that there's a way to go about things, and this is not. And I want to make this very clear. I am very pro Black. I am very pro Black woman. Me being a Black woman, I'm all about us being respected, specifically Black women wrestlers, because clearly there's so many Black women wrestlers that show that just as talented or more talented than their counterparts, their white counterparts. I'm all for that. I just feel like you and we had this conversation. I brought up in regards to like how people such as Naomi or Sasha may handle backlash or whatever. They're not necessarily combative. Whereas I feel this is maybe the second or third time that there's been a thing on Twitter where Jade has gone back and forth with a lot of people. And again, I'm not saying you're wrong. She's wrong. But at the end of the day, I feel like, fuck them, right? Your work speaks for itself. You're clearly doing it out there, something that these people could never do. And they have to watch you on TV, right? At the end of the day, they know your name. You don't know any of these people. You ain't losing sleep over these people, but they're losing sleep clearly over you because you're on their brain. So after a while, is it really worth your messing up your mental and going back and forth with people? Or you just like, you know what, I'm gonna say what I have to say, and that's if you don't like it, I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. That was how I felt should be handled. You felt
like
a little bit differently.
Like I said before, people handle things differently. They do things. Everybody's not the same. Not everybody could have the temper of Sasha and Naomi. Again, Jocelyn brought this up. Is like, yo, she's Jamaican. Like Jamaicans don't play that. Like they the type to speak their minds. You know what I mean? That's just who they are. And not saying.
But Jocelyn also said in the same breath though that she would be more. Yes, at the end of the day, she realized, they're Jamaican women. But at the same time, she also realized in the sense of like, at the end of the day, you got to make it let your work speak for itself and not give those people the time of day.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I understand that, but that's always been the thing. Is like not everybody handles these things the same way. That's what I can say. That's how I always look at it. Is like not everybody, because the way one person handles criticism or whatever, is not the same way somebody else is gonna handle criticism or whatever. And that's just the way it is. So sometimes when people go off, just like when people had a problem with Tony Khan tweeting and stuff like that, we're in an age where social media is like the helm for everything for people, right? Especially for our age group and younger. They go to Twitter for everything. They respond to everything. That's just the way it is. The way WWE handles their situation is different. They ask their wrestlers to, step away from responding to people and stuff like that. And again, it's not in their nature probably. You know how Sasha is. You know how Naomi is. They're very like, Sasha and Naomi is not the same in a sense of temperament, but it's just like they handle things differently.
Not only that they handle things differently, but I also feel that they've been doing this for quite some time. And with time, definitely teaches you patience and maturity. Not to say Jade is not mature or anything like that, but again, let's remember how people have gone at Naomi in regards to about her husband and the constant times he's been arrested, or
the disrespect
with Sasha
is there.
back in, with Sasha and the whole thing of walking out and then supposedly crying on the floor, right? So, and they've been mute about that, right? Until when it was time to speak about it or whatever, that's when they spoke about it. And I think that it comes with time. It comes with time. And I don't even think it has to be because you're a Caribbean woman, right? Which I get it. But also I think within time and understanding, like, yo, it's not even worth it.
I feel like in her case, that's what it was. Like everybody was mute, and everybody, because a lot of times we call out those people that they attack Naomi, they attack Sasha and her counter, and like their fellow wrestlers don't step up for them like they do for other white women wrestlers that get attacked. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that kind of played into the fuel for Jade to speak out, because it's like, yo, they always want us to be quiet, but when they talk, there's no problem.
Yeah.
That's probably a way you look at it as well. That's why I always say, like, yeah, we could always be the one to pick the higher, when they go high, we go low situation. When they go low, we go high situation. But it's just like sometimes, like, all right, I'm tired of staying quiet. But like you said, this is not the first time Jade been to the, to the realms of this. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, just for her psyche, and just, at the end of the day, these people don't matter. And
yeah,
I just hope. Yeah, continue to speak, use your platform. I will never be the one to say don't use your platform, right? Especially as a Black woman that's doing something positive. Continue to use your platform, but it has to be to a certain point. And that's not even for her. I think that's just in general, because sometimes we like to go, like, people that might come at us, we might want to answer, right? Because that's just the human nature in us. But at one point, it's just like, you know what? I got to ignore this because they're not worth it.
Yeah, I've learned to
I'm getting paid. I'm on
unfollow.
TV.
That's my block and follow, mute are my best friends on Twitter.
And that's really all you can do. That's all you can do. I remember, like, just to put this tie this up in a bow. I remember someone said. So anyway, I remember there was, how we always have these conversations about Black women and Black people in wrestling, this, that, and the third. And someone that was clearly a racist was trying to go back and forth in regards to that Black people need to shut up. They're always complaining this, that, and the third. And that, I know people that work hard, this, that, and the third. Clearly going back and forth with that person was not going to get it. So what do you do at that point? Stop responding, because you're going to be stuck in your mindset and your ideologies and whatever. I'm not going to waste my time with some hillbilly, right? That's not trying to see any other side. So that's all you got to really do at that speaking of continuing with AEW, Cody Rhodes this past Wednesday, he teased his little heading to the heel tunnel after he declared that he's next up for the TNT title against Sammy Guevara.
Which is a heel move in itself, because it's like, why are you back in this title picture?
Yes.
Like, why are you here? Like, you don't need another title shot for the TNT title.
His whole demeanor was very, like,
smug,
condescending. So yeah, and listen, it was. I will give Cody this. I'm glad that you're listening, because if that spot you had the following week with you and Andrade and the botched suplex into the burning table.
Look at that.
Look at that. And did you see his arm?
Yes.
Like when he was speaking, like all of that.
It caught on fire, and Andrade had to turn it up, had to pat it down, and like,
oh, for what? For what? All just for people to not still be like fucking with it, right? Yeah, so I'm glad that you did the last thing that you can pull out of your bag of tricks. It's time to be a heel, because clearly the fans do not appreciate what you're doing currently. You have to. It's time for a change.
He's been teasing this for a while, like the whole almost doing the pedigree during that one match, and then that match against Andrade when he's pulling out the sledgehammer, and instead he pulls out a golden shovel. Like, it's just, he's doing old Cody antics.
Tell me you think about Triple H, but not without telling me you think about Triple H and WWE. But
the funny thing is, like, they're friends. Like,
I understand.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he does it because people compare him to Triple H. Like, that's the funny part. And like the whole ever since he did that throne situation, ever since he did that throne situation, everybody's like, oh, so you want to be Triple H? So ever since then, I bet.
And he's showing it by jumping right into the TNT championship picture. Yeah. So you're showing that. But so I don't know. We'll see what comes to that. But had to bring that up. Anything else we want to discuss from AEW?
Yep, I want to bring up my homeboy. I'm a hooker. That's who I am. Shout out to Hook.
Okay.
Lands on his feet. Nice go
Look at
behind.
that.
And then Hook. Look at this.
Look at that.
A high cross takes
That boy Hook.
Fuego over the top.
That boy Hook is out here.
So Hook sent wrestling social media in an absolute frenzy. I fell asleep because it was a long, long day. I watched the Lucha Bros match versus FTR, which was really good, but I fell asleep after that. And I woke up to our page, like mad traffic on our page, and I was just like, what's this? And mind you, I'm still waking up, so I'm just like, what's Hook send? They send Hook. What? And then obviously everything I started to realize was making sense. And then I told you I was gonna watch it, and I watched it, but I had put my head down because it was a quick match, right? And I put my head down, and the next thing I know, it was done. I was like, this is what everybody's going crazy for. I was like, yo, there's something I'm missing. I ran it back. And then you also mentioned about Action Bronson
doing the theme song.
But I missed that too. So I was like, all right, let me run it back. And I was like, this is giving me very Italian vibes because obviously they're Italian. Brooklyn, Red Hook, obviously.
Really? You saying Taz is not black?
No. Public service announcement. Taz is not black like we all thought he was growing up. He is not a black man. He is an Italian. He is just a tanned Italian man.
Yo.
That's it. He is a tan Italian man from Brooklyn. But yeah. So, it's just like the way Hook came out, just all the swag in the world. Like, I don't care. I'm just gonna that New York, Brooklyn, just and shout out to Fuego del Sol.
They made him look like $1 million.
Yeah, and it was dope. All of it was dope. I was
very
like,
fluent, very smooth.
Yeah. No question asked. Let's give him a contract. He's all elite.
He's all elite.
He did his thing. So it's gonna be interesting to see, specifically with Team Taz. Like, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be pushed in the forefront. I'm assuming there might be even a match between. I would like to see a match between him and Dante, to be perfectly honest with you, just because of obviously Dante turning on them.
Set them up.
So I can see that being something.
Send Hook.
So what were your thoughts?
You already know I love this. Like, he's smooth, very nice in the ring. I would like to see him more in the ring. I think his selling was okay. He didn't have to sell too much, so we can't really, But his in ring like his dad he did the Taz suplex. Then he did the Taz mission. No, he did the Taz suplex first, and then he did the
submission.
The suplex. He did the Taz mission for the finish, but he did the suplex like his dad used to do. He did one of those.
I'm saying, though, but he
did the Taz mission.
And he calls it the red drum.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he did all of that. It was a nice homage to his dad. You see the picture when he's coming down the ramp, and you see Taz standing up and clapping. That was like a dope moment for him, calling his son's first match on TV.
And not only that too, like when we were talking about it, and I said he even like outside of the swag, but even though he had his own little oomph into it, it reminded me of how Taz used to come out, right?
Yeah.
Just like kind of that bop.
That bop.
Like no. I'm not playing any games or whatever type of thing. I mean business. That's what I saw when I saw him come out, which pretty dope because again, we've obviously watched Taz growing up. So just to see now his son, and then I could only imagine just seeing his son and calling his son's first match was definitely a feel good moment.
Dope moment. To close out this episode, you want to pay homage to Ring of Honor. They had Final Battle this weekend, and just because Bandito had tested positive, they had to change the main event. So it was Jonathan Gresham versus Jay Lethal for the original Ring of Honor Championship. They brought out the old title. The pay-per-view in general was just great. I just wanted to highlight a couple of black excellence. Shout out to Black Wrestling for these pictures because they were there live. This is of STP and Kenny King and Cheeseburger and a few others doing the black fist in the middle of the ring. They didn't show this on the pay-per-view, but saw the pictures of it, and I had to grab it, to show the love to that. And then Jonathan Gresham defeated Jay Lethal to become the final Ring of Honor champion. It was a lot of great moments in that match, in that night in general. FTR came out,
Yeah.
and brawled with the Briscoes.
Adam Scherr was there. You showed me.
Yeah, Adam Scherr came out. He joined EC3's cult. So apparently they're gonna be doing the indies together. It's just weird to see how it's gonna be interesting to see how all this Gianna Perosa, came out after the Roxy versus Willow match, and challenged them for a winner takes all match. So Roxy's gonna join Gianna Perosa and Mickie James in their title match. So winner takes all titles. So that's gonna be interesting to see over on the NWA side. AEW and NWA sent some people out. In between the pay-per-view, you had some video packages from the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, CM Punk, Brian Danielson came out. Not came out, but they did video packages. There's a lot of people just saying how Ring of Honor changed their lives. It was just dope to see y'all together. So we just wanted to pay homage to Ring of Honor, and hopefully we see them back.
For sure, because Ring of Honor has obviously been a staple in regards to just another promotion in this wrestling world.
It produced a lot of superstars.
It absolutely did, and that's WWE has been such a conglomerate in the wrestling industry, but you forget there's a lot of places like you said, Ring of Honor, that has produced a lot of legendary talent. And again, it just goes back to hopefully that they can do something and get back to, providing good content. And just, I also I have to watch it myself. I didn't get the chance to, but just to hear it's like that you can work together, right? And you get what I'm saying? So everybody's coming together and partnering up. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, well, we're over here and you're over there. We're over there. It's like the forbidden door. So
that forbidden door situation was kind of eerie because they kind of put themselves in the corner with that, and that's what kind of played into their downfalls, how they handled a lot of things. But I'm just glad at the end of the day they was able to put their differences aside to give a proper send off to a great promotion. I know you're gonna say I'm bashing WWE. I felt like WWE should let the wrestlers say something as well. That was just my opinion.
No, I don't think that's a situation of bashing WWE. Again, like I can admit when WWE needs to do something and they don't do something right, and
I just want to make sure. I was just saying like.
That's the disclaimer. I just feel like at this point it's 2021. There's no need to be like, yo, again, like I just said, you're over there and we're over here. They're
whole universe mindset.
They're
my own universe mindset.
They're all friends. Like legitimately, everybody in each promotion are friends, best friends, spouses. Like it doesn't make sense why I wouldn't do a send off or whatever the case might be. But
like Seth Rollins could have said something. AJ Styles could have said something. There's so many people from there. Like, I feel like Samoa Joe, wherever he is, we don't know where the hell he's at. He could have said something. He definitely could have said something for Ring of Honor. I just feel like they could have let that rock. It was just one night.
Yeah, but it is what it is. WWE's gonna be who they're gonna be, and again, they're
not part of the universe.
To cap it off, hopefully Ring of Honor can come back. But it sounds like it was definitely a dope night.
I'll go back and watch it again.
Anyway, that was our show. Episode. Thank you for tuning in. It wasn't that bad. I thought we were going 2 hours the way we were going, but
not until we go live.
Yeah.
When we go live.
Yeah.
That's a little Easter egg for you guys. When we go live.
Okay. Besides that, make sure you follow us on. Okay. Make sure you follow us at the Mixed Tag Show on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. We're doing a lot of great things, got a lot of content. YouTube, got a lot of content going on, a lot of ideas that we're very excited for coming into the new year. Crazy that we have to say that. And you can also follow us at
Miss Jenna Baby BAYBE or at
Blue Magic Ride.
Spell how it sound.
Boom.
Bow. It's coming down to the holidays, so maybe you see us one more time before the holidays hit. You will catch us this Tuesday though. This Tuesday, Put You On is gonna be from Prolific, Isaiah Wolf, 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch Twitch.com/The Mixed Tag Show. I'll be hosting that one the week after. Jenna has that. I think we have TKO on,
Yes.
right?
The 21st, yeah.
Yeah, so we have like 3 more put-you-ons, and then I'll be closing out the year. Maybe we'll try to squeeze in one more episode before the year is over. Maybe like a preview to.
All right, we just said that.
All right,
Please,
I'm just saying, making sure
please.
everybody tune in.
If we
All right,
don't-
bye.
If we don't come back before Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Boom, bye.
Tag show.